Hey, what's up? It's John Samuel, and this is All Access Live. Welcome. And today we have a very, very special guest. We have my friend, Saima Cardwell, who is also the Supplier Diversity Specialist over at SAS. So welcome, Saima. How are you?
I'm good, John. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat today because supplier diversity is something that I'm really interested in learning more about, and also to see, how it plays a role in diversity, equity, and inclusion, and also in disability inclusion. So, and I didn't know anyone other than you to can touch on all of this. So, I'm so happy that you're here to share your knowledge with the with everyone.
Absolutely glad to be here. Thank you
So,
for having me.
of course, of course. So first, could we actually just start off with what is supplier diversity?
Sure, absolutely. So, supplier diversity is basically it allows a company to have more inclusion in their supplier base. So, including it allows our us to have inclusion of diverse suppliers and having more diverse supply base, such
Yeah,
as women owned, minority owned,
disability owned.
yes, absolutely. Disabled owned, veteran owned, all of the above, LGBTQ owned.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it gives us
that's
a
really
diverse supply base. It gives them access to opportunities for contracts. So,
okay. Very cool.
yeah,
And so, how did you get into this field?
I got into it basically because I'd been at SAS for a number of years, and procurement analysts used to bring me when I was in our accounts payable. I used to manage our supplier database,
Yeah.
and people would bring me, "Hey, can you set up this supplier?" And so I was actually recruited for it. I actually worked in licensing and contracts. And so someone said, "Hey, you'd be good for this role because we know you're very passionate about helping people."
Yeah.
So they had an opening, and I actually used to set up our suppliers. And when we first started tracking them for the diverse categories, I was doing that as well. So they said, "We know you're passionate about helping people, so you would be great for this role." So
Oh,
that's
fantastic. So
how I
that's how
got
you got
into
that.
it.
That's
Yep.
cool. But I mean, one thing I've been wondering about is that you know, supplier diversity just seems to be like a logical thing because you want to have a diverse group of suppliers who are providing you different goods. It allows you to have an economic impact on diverse communities. But why do you think a lot of organizations don't have a diverse supplier program?
Well, I think more companies than you think actually have programs. It's just like even ours, right? If you go on our website, you don't see it. It's just not well known. A lot of them sit under
Oh, really?
procurement, right? So it's under procurement, it's under HR possibly, or diversity, equity, and inclusion. But even now, especially with COVID, consumers are more consciously aware. They want to do business with companies that are, um, you know, more conscious. So you'll hear
Yeah.
about ESG. They want companies that are conscious about sustainability efforts, and so their economic impact. Those are all things that are very important to consumers now. They're more conscious, and they want to do business with companies who care. So
Yeah.
you're definitely hearing more about things like, you know, how are they more conscious and who are they doing business with. So I think you're hearing more about it, and so companies are more aware, and you want to do business with those companies. So I think you're going to see more companies are, you know being more upfront and not bearing the programs. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And so do you think that'll like you just mentioned that it's that diversity supplier may be in HR, may be in procurement, it may be in D&I. I mean, where do you think it should be housed, and where do we often see it?
Ours currently is under strategic sourcing and procurement.
Okay.
It kind of makes sense there because we do work with procurement, and the goals are, you know, on our analysts to bid and have those opportunities for suppliers that are diverse. So,
That seems like
yeah,
the logical place to place it.
right, right. Yeah, and we do work with our DNI, right, diversity and inclusion, and
Yeah.
different groups to bring more awareness, right, also to everyone that is buying,
Yeah.
because you want that awareness for anyone that is buying to be more inclusive in your in your purchases, right? anything that you purchase, you want it to be, what are you buying and how can you be more aware of everything that you're buying
Yeah.
and bring in more diverse suppliers. And especially, obviously, with the impacts of COVID in the past 2 years, we can't buy everything from other countries because
Yeah.
look at the supply chain issues and logistics and everything. So we need to source locally and see how we can make more of an impact with our small businesses.
No, that's so true, right? I think you raise a really important fact here is that we are having challenges with our global supply chain, and being able to source locally is a good thing for our economy and for local entrepreneurs. So, I mean, what does it take to be a to be take part in a diverse supplier program? What can an entrepreneur do, or a small business? What can they do to be considered a diverse supplier?
So first of all, to be you want to be certified. So to
What
be
does that mean? Yeah.
yeah. So you want to be yeah. You have to definitely be 51% owned, operated, and controlled. And you have to
Okay.
fall under certain categories, right? So you and I are Asian Americans, right?
Hmm.
So we could be fall into that category. So we'd be a minority owned business because we're Asian Americans.
Okay.
You can be a woman owned business, a disabled owned business, a veteran owned, a service disabled veteran owned. So, or just a disabled owned business, right? And
Okay.
different corporations will look for national certifying agencies because we want a third party to certify that because we know it's been verified and you've gone through that process. And the SBA does self certify. So we will take those certifications.
Okay. And so what are some of like the certifying organizations? Like who are some of these that what are
Sure.
some known ones in like in particular categories?
Right, right. So DisabilityOwned does the disabled owned businesses, right? Then you
Okay.
have the VA, but they do more for if you're purchasing with the VA.
So
They have
veteran affairs, you're talking about with the federal
yes,
government. Okay.
right, right, federal contracting. Then the SBA does also the self certification for veterans. Then you
Okay.
have We Bank for women owned businesses, NMSDC, the National Minority Supplier Development Council. Uh, let me see my long list I made here for you.
What we can also do is maybe we can in the chat, maybe if we can put some of those, that'll be really cool. If you don't
Sure.
mind, after putting the link to those. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And then US PAC is the US Pan Asian American Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
US Pan, US Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, right? There's so many good resources out there. Obviously, locally, we have Blink for Business Link, North Carolina.
What
And
is that?
entrepreneurs definitely need to look at resources that are available to them for free, right? If you're thinking about being
Yeah.
an entrepreneur, look for free resources because there's so many out there for you.
So, um, you mentioned Disability In and the for people with disabilities. I mean, is that the only organization, or are there other organizations who can certify you as a disability-owned business enterprise?
There are other organizations, obviously. I believe the SBA, U.S. Small Business Administration does
Oh,
certify.
they do as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
mhm, yeah.
So, another question. You just talked about a lot of the different categories of diversity, but what about intersectionality? Is there anything for that? You know, because I am a Asian American plus I'm a person with a disability. So how does that is that do
You
you just
can
have
get
two?
multiple certifications.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and I encourage people to get as many certifications because you don't know what a company is looking for, right? And you can fall into those multiple buckets. And sometimes you might, say, well, I'm a minority, but I also have this. And depending on what kind, what bid you're looking for, you might fall into this category or you might fall into that category. So
Okay, cool. And so, you talked about these organizations. Will those organizations help individuals who want to navigate this, or what are some good resources where people can learn how to navigate the whole supplier diversity?
sure. And even like I help business owners all the time, right? So your supplier
Yeah.
diversity professional, or even the SBA does workshops, SCORE, different agencies, right? There's always resources available to you, or reach out. I'll be glad to help you or So if the corporations, I mean, they should be, some of them offer mentoring programs. Like, we do that as well. Help our business owners. That's one of my big things. I help them all the time. Capability workshops, pitch competitions, things like
Yeah.
that. We're going to do that, those kind of things to help our business owners. Because in the end, it's about helping you succeed. That's my thing, right? I want you to succeed, and you know that's the end. Wait, you don't want
Yeah.
a business to fail, right? Yeah, I want you to be successful, so I want to help them as much as I can.
Yeah. I mean, you talked about wanting to help, and I know that for a fact because you are probably one of the most just generous people I know with your time. And you are on several boards. Which boards are you on?
So I serve on the Institute for Supply Chain Management, Carolina, Virginia's chapter. I'm the Triangle chapter's president. I serve on DisabilityOwned North Carolina's board. Serve on the Raleigh LGBT chamber. Also on the Carolina, Virginia's ISM board, right, for local presidents. And I think that's all. I'm on 4 boards, so I'm plenty busy.
You're very busy, but I'm just, that's awesome. So when you think about organizations, maybe some small businesses, you talked about there's a lot of organizations who do have a supplier diversity program, but we just don't know about it because it's not maybe not on their website.
Right.
But what are some like key takeaways that organizations who are interested in starting a supplier diversity or who have a supplier diversity program and want to get it out, what are some things that they can do to really start to get this into the mainstream kind of discussion so that we know about this more?
Well, if you like, we do a lot of networking events, right? Which obviously, because of COVID, we've been, everything's been virtual. So we do attend a lot of those, right, where you can meet diverse business owners.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a program, definitely have conversations with your leadership because that's where it starts. And you definitely want top-down support. If you can get that, that's a huge win to get it out there and communicate. And if your program's going to sit with procurement, legal, HR, you want all those people on your side and have that
Yeah.
support. And then definitely identify who your suppliers are because you could have diverse suppliers already you know, in your procurement or
Yeah.
identifying those businesses that you already do business with. So do a data scrub and see who your businesses are that you already do business with. They might be diverse and you just didn't know it, and capture that because that's a huge win already because you need to do data scrubs anyways to analyze your diverse business owners and who can you make the most impact with.
Yeah.
See
So
see what you're purchasing, right? Look at what your company spends with.
yeah.
Are you buying goods and services, IT, your office supplies, your P card, right? Your procurement cards, your travel and expenses, cleaning janitorial supplies, you know, and remember to think green and sustainable, right?
Yeah.
All the way top down, right? I
Yeah.
mean, just think how you can, you know, it's, we have to think about the environment, right? Think
Yeah, for
sustainable.
sure.
So, but if you think about all that, and if you have any renovations or construction, right? Those are always ways that you can include and think about diverse suppliers where you can be inclusive.
Yeah.
And if you look at all those categories, and it's ways that you can be inclusive and include diverse suppliers. And when you look at all that, and then you can sit down with your procurement and higher ups and say, okay, this is where we already include suppliers, or we can be inclusive, and then have goals set and say, okay, this is what we're going to do, and how can we measure and go forward,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
also and include them in your bids, right?
Yeah. So something that kind of underlying thing that I'm hearing from you is that organizations need to be intentional
Yes,
about this, right? And so
absolutely.
intentional about doing data scrubs, understanding, collecting that information. Because are most companies collecting this information, or do you think it's something that they're not currently collecting, or they're just not looking at that data?
No, I mean, we look at that data, and I report
But
to.
you work for a data science company.
Well, no, but we also report to 60 some of our customers, right?
Okay,
So
yeah,
reporting that spend, right? So a lot
yeah,
of companies do want that data and they want to know what you're spending with them and who you're spending with. So they want to know that tier two spend. So it's direct spend, tier two spend. So a lot of companies already want that spend. So it's knowing that and then, you know, have your analysts be accountable, have them require, you know, including
yeah,
diverse businesses in their bid process, as
yeah,
well as we as we both know, accessibility, right? Have
yeah.
that language in your bid process. Include it in your RFPs, right?
Yeah, that's a big one, right?
Yes,
Including it in your
absolutely.
RFP. And I think that's
Yes,
really important. Like we talked, you're right. Making sure that content's accessible because otherwise, once you get it, you're going to realize, oh, geez,
things
this,
aren't accessible. Even if they say they are, they might not be. You learn that the hard way, as well
yeah,
as, inclusive of diverse suppliers, right? Be inclusive for all your employees, right? It's about
yeah,
inclusion for everyone.
yeah. I mean, so interesting enough, you said your customers are wanting that information, right? So
Yes.
are you talking about y'all are B2B primarily, right? Business
Hmm.
to business clients. So your business clients are requesting this information. So
Yes.
do y'all at SAS require your vendors to also do the same?
Well, I rolled that out about 2 years ago, and it's so funny. They all keep adding and adding. They want our spend, but then when I ask them for it, they don't want to give it to us. So we're going to push it out again, right? They're all our customers, but then they don't want to give us the data. So we're gonna roll it out again and they say we're contractually obligated, but you're our customers. It's
Yeah,
not in our contracts, but maybe we need to push it out in our contracts, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
But that's a good, good. That's really important because I think it is. It's nice that you're hearing that customers are asking this because that's where people are going to listen, right? So
right,
if you
right.
listen to your customers, but so cool. So as we kind of wind up, we talked about some of the things about companies. They need to be intentional about diversity suppliers and identifying those individuals and data scrubbing. And as for the individuals, you talked about reaching out to different organizations to get certified, and then also ask for help. But what else do you? Any last takeaways for small business owners and or companies?
Sure. Small business owners, yeah, definitely. I would say get certified, look, and do business with each other because if you don't help each other,
Yeah,
right, it that's what it's about. And be inclusive with each other and be intentional. And I always tell people, my small business owners, if you partner, sometimes you might not be the prime on a contract. So just remember that just because you're not coming in as the main person, just just partner and maybe work together because that's what it's about. It's collaborating. So
man, no, perfect.
yeah,
Well, thank you, Saima, for taking the time to kind of talk through um, what supplier diversity is and how organizations can take part in this. And so, I'd love it if you could share some of those resources to folks um, in the chat and then also in the comment section. But also, how can people get in touch with you if they want to take you up on your
absolutely.
offer?
Sure, absolutely. Always a pleasure chatting with you, John. So good to see you.
Thank you so much. And well, thanks, Emma. And hope to see you soon in person. And for everyone else, we will be back in 2 weeks on 12 p.m. on Thursdays. We will be doing this bi-weekly now. So please check it out. And also, if you haven't seen, my TED Talk just came out, so please check it out. Let me know what you think about it. I'd love your help in spreading the idea around. So thank you for that, and thank you, Jarvis, for everything you do to make this happen. And well, thanks, Saima, and thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good day.
You too.